Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Justin here, and now I finally want to review something that I've been wanting to review for the past year, but I've sort of been delaying it because they've been making new installments of this series. So now that that's kind of been out of the way, yes and no, I can finally now get to my current review to the day, and that is Garo Makai Senki, which is season 2 of the Garo franchise. So it takes place, of course, after the events of the first season, the Byakuya no Maju special, Kiba Gaiden, and the Red Requiem movie. And Koga, he's now been promoted as a knight for the Senate and is given a new partner, a Makai priest named Leo, whose abilities have been given the praise as the second coming of Amon, one of the friends of Koga's father, Taiga. And as usual, Koga's never-ending battle against the horrors continues, and the biggest threat to this fight is a mysterious robed man in a red mask named Sigma. And during his introduction, Sigma brands Koga with the seal of destruction, and it is also later revealed that his former rival, now ally Rei, and other Makai Knights have been branded and they will die within a certain amount of time. Gee, where have I heard that story before? It is now up to Koga to remove the seal, figure out the true identity of Sigma, and stop him and save all the Makai Knights. And the great thing about this season is that not all episodes have to be about Koga. There are some episodes in which Rei is the main character, and he brings a different kind of atmosphere to the series in which it doesn't go stale with Koga's 100% focus on work personality. And as for Koga, there's really no need to further drastically develop him in an individual sense by reason of tabula rasa, but his relationship to the other characters are given a more distinct focus. The only individual development he needs is the realization that he can have a life beyond that of a Makai Knight. And Kaoru is used as a means of showing that he can have that, and in one episode tries to introduce him to the theater, and the comedy works in context to that part of the series, and knows when to circumstantially use it. It's not exactly, being a Makai Knight is like being a Jedi from Star Wars where they're discouraged from falling in love, so Koga is free to take a wife and have children, but he just restricts himself, but the series does show enough to give you why he does so. As for Rei, I think despite his more upbeat nature, one of his centric episodes is probably one of the most twisted and darkest, and I thought that was a really good way to approach it. In addition, one episode will give you more details about Koga's past. Even though the first series does talk about his childhood at times, this one episode does so in a more effective way you don't expect, and that episode will show viewers who may be new to the franchise, who didn't see any previous installments, can get an understanding why Koga can stay cool and composed under the most intensive pressure. And it was also probably one of my favorite Koga episodes. You know the old saying that whatever doesn't kill you can make you stronger? Sorry, I just got a bit of a cold. Well, in the world of Garo, it can make you stronger, kill you, or just fuck you up for the rest of your life. And Koga ends up in one of these three categories, and it's really easy to guess which way he ends up. And Koga has been in training to be a knight since his childhood, and he comes from a lineage of Makai Knights. And his background of just easily contributes to that cool and focus he has. But as I said, previous exposure isn't 100% necessary, but it does help. This series does enough to refamiliarize with viewers with how the world of Garo works, and the information it provides does help new viewers get a good understanding. Not only does it reground with how things work, it also further explores how they work, and it effectively contributes to the story and the development of the characters. Some things in Red Requiem and Kiba Gaiden also foreshadows what happens in this season, but it's not really required viewing, but I do strongly encourage that you watch them. The thing I enjoyed the most in the first half of the series, when it was more focused on the horror hunting, was that the series gave you a more look into the human aspect. This time I felt when a human was possessed by a horror, you strongly feel that the human quality still remained intact in comparison to Season 1. I felt that it's because the desires that the humans have were relatable and personal, but grew to the point of destructive obsession, which led to their destruction. Plus, you get an idea of what that human was like in their life, so you do feel bad for them when they have to die. I felt this was generally demonstrated by the samurai who fought Rei, and yet his old Bushido values was not only the foundation of his undoing, but also his redemption. Another favorite of mine is when they go to the theater and a former actor resumes his roles as like a Japanese Errol Flynn. You can see how much talent and passion he puts into that role, and you really do feel bad for him when you see his replacement not take the role as seriously as he did. It was probably one of the finest acted tokusatsu roles I've ever watched. Sigma as a villain I really loved for many reasons, which I can't get into because of spoilers. The reason why he is strong and so much of a threat is rather simple, but makes perfect sense at the same time. Like I said, I wish I could explain it, but I just can't, other than you really have to see the series to understand. And plus, other characters such as Reka, Jabi, and Tsubasa, they come back and they contribute when it counts. To newer viewers, you may have to watch the previous installments for the details of these mentioned characters, but Makai Senki does enough to say who they are and what their relation to Koga is. The horror aspect just works excellently well. Not just, the monsters, but the mood. As opposed to Middle Eastern mythology from the first season, the second season is more reliant on traditional Japanese horror qualities, and everything you know about Japanese horror cinema is applied here. Hell, one episode made me scared of stepping on manholes in the middle of the night, even to this day. Then again, I don't handle Japanese horror very well. There are a few flaws in this story I would point out, which I did have some issue with, but of course those would be spoilers too. I think my suggestions could have helped make it more impacting in an emotional sense, but the series manages to do fine, and for that, I still give the story and characters a 9.5 out of 10. The action just progressively gets creative as you watch each episode. Even though the action is reliant on one style, it brings something unpredictable and ballsy in each episode. It mixes grace and explosiveness excellently well. The action is a great improvement from the previous installments in ways I could never imagine. I thought the Byakuya no Maju and Red Requiem were its pinnacle, but I was wrong. The fights excellently show that it's not the armor that makes the knight, but that the knight makes the armor. Once again, if you're going to bitch about the CG, I'm not going to say don't, but I will once again paraphrase Enter the Dragon from Bruce Lee. If you're going to concentrate on the CG, you are only going to concentrate on the finger as opposed to the moon, because you are missing all the heavenly glory, and the CG does enough to convey this emotional content. And for that, I give the action another 10 out of 10. And there's really nothing too much to add to the music department, as I said in my first two reviews. It is generally the same soundtrack. You get highly orchestrated and or choral music that suitably works with the atmosphere of the series. However, the second thing, Waga no Agado by the Jam Project, which also consists of Kageyama Hironobu, the voice of Zaruba, and the singer of the Dragon Ball Z theme songs, brings that explosiveness that you know in Tokusatsu series, but at the same time honors the mood Garo shows by showing that this is also a hero show in conjunction to that of also being a horror show. And for that, I give the music another 10 out of 10. If you're looking for a gateway to the Tokusatsu genre, in a certain way this could be the series for you. Obviously, it is more distinct than Kamen Rider and Super Sentai, but of course, it is aimed for adults despite the juvenile feel to it. The series does have violence and some nudity, and the first episode featured a topless scene of AV idol Okita Anri while wearing a song. And I think that was enough to keep me hooked to watching the series anyway. And because of that, I am giving Garo Makai Senki an overall score of a 9.75 out of 10. And next Wednesday, or Tuesday America time, look forward to the beginning of my mini-series called Great Teacher JMo, and look forward to next weekend's review, and that will be the Garo sequel to this series, Garo Sokoku no Maru. Thank you for watching, and look forward to my next videos.